This exam application tutorial is on the topic of evolution. The question for 4 marks is explain how geographical isolation can lead to the evolution of a new species. In other words, explain how a geographical barrier that separates members of a population can result in a new species evolving. In other words, this question is asking you to explain the process of speciation and not natural selection, even though natural selection is involved. Speciation results in the creation of new species. Natural selection just changes a population. Given enough time, that population may evolve into a new species. So the first step is a geographical barrier, for example an earthquake. So we've got these members of a population sharing an island, but an earthquake causes a split and now they're cut off from each other. So geographical barrier separates members of a population, and if you want to add, to make it sound even better, into different subgroups, causing reproductive isolation. What that means is isolated means they're by themselves. Reproductive isolation means they cannot reproduce with each other because they cannot meet up. Each subgroup experiences different environmental conditions. So for example, on this side of the island it's rainy and wet, on this side it's hot and dry. Now, certain features may be better suited to these conditions, whereas certain features in this population may be better suited to these conditions. So the environmental factors will chisel away at the population, shaping them over time. I've gone for really obvious ones here, but they can be more subtle. For example, there could be different food sources here and different food sources here. And maybe certain features are better at accessing food sources here and different features are better at accessing the different food sources on this island. So now that we've got different environmental conditions, natural selection can act on each subgroup, and that's all I will say about natural selection. We just have to acknowledge that natural selection now is taking place. And finally, over many generations, each subgroup may evolve into new species. So you can see now the different colours represent they're now a new species, and what that literally means is they can no longer successfully interbreed or reproduce with each other. So if they were reunited, they could no longer reproduce to produce fertile offspring. That's the definition of a species. So just to remember, geographical barrier separates a population. Each subgroup experiences different environmental conditions. Natural selection acts on each subgroup, changing them over time. Over many generations, each subgroup may evolve into new species.